On a hot summer day, a puppy was locked inside a car. The scorching sun and heat brought it to tears. Its vision gradually blurred. Worse still, the car owner had no idea, seeing the puppy about to die of thirst. The next second, a woman smashed the window and rescued the puppy. The window shattered. Fresh air finally poured in. When the puppy opened its eyes again, it saw a lovely little boy in front of it. Turned out this kind mother and son had saved it. The boy, Ethan, decided to adopt the puppy, but the puppy was thinking that, I decided right then, I absolutely had to adopt this boy. But not everyone likes dog. For example, Ethan's father, Adam. Who's going to feed the dog? Who's going to bathe it? Who's going to toilet train it? Even though Ethan promised to handle everything, his dad was still hesitant. He thought it was just a phase his son was going through, that he'd get bored of it soon. The couple discussed this matter late into the night. Ethan made a silent vow. If his dad said no, he'd run away with the dog. But not long after, Adam came out and said Ethan could keep the dog. After that, Ethan named the puppy Bailey. On the back of its collar were engraved Ethan's name and address. Bailey was very smart. It learned everything quickly. The first trick it learned was to chase its tail in circles. Actually, Bailey didn't understand every word, but there was one word Ethan said a lot. Bailey. It took me a while to understand what he meant. I had a little boy, and his name was Ethan, and I had a name too. My name was Bailey. Bailey knew exactly where he belonged in the family. Ethan's mom, Anna, loved him just like Ethan did, and of course, Adam too, even though he always nudged him away while working. Bailey thought the cat in the house was pitiful. Just because it wasn't a dog, it always growled. Every night when mom told Ethan to go to bed, the boy would always pretend to obediently turn off the desk lamp, then wait until the footsteps faded away. Ethan would call Bailey up to the bed. Bailey was Ethan's pet, but also his best friend. Ethan loved reading comics to Bailey, and Bailey thought Ethan was a genius. Snuggling under the blanket and howling was the best thing in the world. Every night before bed, I always thought, with Ethan by my side, I was truly happy, and lucky I wasn't a cat. Time just kept passing by day after day. Bailey kept spinning in circles chasing his tail and growing up. Every weekend, Adam would drive the whole family on trip, amid cheerful and lively tunes. It was the happiest time for the family. Bailey also loved these trips. He loved wagging his tail to make Ethan laugh, loved his mom's radiant smile, loved his dad's fake stern expression. The air was filled with strange scents Bailey had never smelled before, because this time, the destination was Ethan's grandmother's house. Grandma's farm let Bailey fully express his instinct, chasing the chicken, duck, and geese into terrifying stampedes. Sometimes I think, reflecting on the meaning of life is such a waste of time. Better to just enjoy life to the fullest. Who cares what it all means? After getting tired, Bailey would run back for a few sips of water, then dash back outside to keep playing wildly, or run over to lick his little master. At Grandma's house, Bailey's happiness only grew, because old people truly understood him. They would secretly slip him pieces of jerky under the table. But whenever the whole family was having fun together, Dad would say something that dimmed the mood. Maybe it was work or just his nature. Dad was always like that, and Ethan would take the chance to leave the table. He didn't like that atmosphere. He dreamed that if he became a superhero, maybe his dad wouldn't be so troubled all the time. Bailey could smell Ethan's sadness, so he went to find an old football from the storage room. Everyone knows that playing ball is much more fun when there's a dog involved. Ethan and Bailey played all afternoon. They even mastered a special move only the two of them knew. Even Dad, who didn't like dogs, couldn't help but praise Bailey. But happy moments always pass quickly. Summer vacation ended, and the weather grew colder. Ethan was now old enough to start school. Bailey didn't understand why every morning, Ethan was taken away by a yellow box with wheels, and as soon as Ethan was out of sight, Mom would also leave the house. Only Bailey was left alone at home. Bailey felt an unpleasant emotion. Later he learned it was called loneliness. With nothing to do, Bailey started rummaging through things, chasing the cat all around the house. By the time Ethan came home from school, the house was already a mess, especially Dad's study. Ethan wanted to clean it up quickly, but Dad caught him red-handed. This time Dad was truly furious. He locked Bailey in the outside shed, because tonight Dad's boss was coming over. This had to do with Dad's promotion, so nothing could go wrong. Don't let him see my study in this mess, understand? Alright, clean up everything, and wipe everything down for me, got it? Ethan respected his dad a lot, but he couldn't accept his father's temper. While cleaning the desk, to welcome the boss, Mom had prepared dinner early. Dad also dressed up in a formal suit, carefully taking out a small box. Inside were some extremely valuable coins, especially the 1907 Double Eagle gold coin center, but Ethan had no idea how valuable it was. He even played with it absent-mindedly. Unfortunately, the coin fell right into Bailey's mouth. By the time Ethan noticed, the coin had already been swallowed by Bailey. At that exact moment, Dad's boss arrived. At the worst possible time, Ethan didn't know how much the coin was worth, but he guessed his dad had prepared it specially for the boss. After the dinner, Dad finally brought up the rare coin. Ethan realized he and Bailey had made a big mess, so when Dad went to get the coin box, Ethan quickly took Bailey outside. Ethan kept shaking Bailey's backside, hoping he would release the coin. Luckily, this time Bailey was very cooperative. He rushed into the bushes and did his business. It was also the first time Bailey saw Ethan so happy just because of his poop. When Ethan got back to the house, Dad was just about to open the coin box. Ethan thought fast and shouted loudly, "There's a mouse under the table." Coincidentally, the boss's wife was terrified of mice. Hearing that, Bailey got excited immediately. He acted out a whole cat and mouse scene with the air. The entire room turned into chaos. Ethan used the distraction to secretly return the coin to the box, but unfortunately, because she was so afraid of mice, the boss's wife fell onto the dining table. In the end, the dinner party ended in the worst possible way. Dad's chance for promotion and a raise vanished. Dad blamed everything on Bailey, saying it was Bailey who ruined the dinner party. Even though the boss had made his decision beforehand, Dad locked Bailey in the shed and declared he didn't want to see him in the house anymore. Even locked away, Bailey could still sense Ethan's sadness through the door, so he snuck back through the vent into the room. Bailey couldn't let his owner experience the same loneliness he did. Dad's words were just out of anger. Bailey stayed in the house, playing football with Ethan in the yard every day, practicing that special move only they knew. Growing up together through childhood, time continued to pass. Having played football since he was young, Ethan naturally joined the school team as he grew older. In every game, he played outstanding, becoming the team's key player. Everyone surrounded Ethan, which made a blonde teammate quite jealous. In contrast to his rising son, the hard-working father, after years of service, was finally fired by his boss. He stayed at home all day, drowning himself in alcohol. He had never once gone to see his son play a game. Ethan tried to lift his father's spirit, but the family atmosphere remained heavy. So outside of school, even when he had free time, Ethan rarely stayed at home. It was at the playground that Ethan met a girl. Suddenly, Ethan's scent began to change. It was the smell of sweat. Not sure if it had anything to do with that girl. Bailey, sorry, that was my dog, not me. Thanks to Bailey acting as a bridge, Ethan got the chance to talk to the girl. Moreover, he wasn't shy anymore. He gathered all his courage and asked Hannah out. Now both of them had the smell of sweat. They played together until nightfall. Because they were having too much fun, Ethan accidentally knocked over a street stall. Bailey followed behind, and in a flash, devoured all 28 sausages that fell to the ground. Ethan took the chance to drive Hannah home, and the radiant smile on Hannah's face as she got out of the car was his answer. From that day on, that girl became a part of our lives. Ethan and Hannah were almost inseparable. Of course, Bailey was always there too. Bailey had witnessed Ethan's childhood, and now continued to witness his love story. Ethan was just like his father back then, driving Bailey and Hannah around for fun. Most of the time they just sat in the car doing nothing. Ethan and Hannah kept kissing the whole time. Were they fighting over food? Or was Hannah hiding something in her mouth? Nothing there. Absolutely nothing. Bailey, what are you doing? He likes you. Bailey had no idea why Ethan kept searching for something in Hannah's mouth. Almost everywhere they went, even though it was clear there was nothing in there. They went all around town together, but Ethan never brought Hannah home because of the yelling and drunken rage of his father. Just seeing the silhouette of the house, all of it came flooding back fiercely. Ethan didn't want Hannah to see that scene. When the last cicada sang under the sunset glow, their shells stuck in the cracks of eucalyptus trees, like receipts from the changing of seasons. Summer quietly came to an end. Hannah had already made plans for her future. She would earn a football scholarship and get into a good college. After that, Ethan took Hannah home and promised they would never be apart. But just as Ethan stepped out of the car, he saw his father drunk and starting trouble again. This time he was worse than he had ever been before. Just one look, and he was about to hit Mom. That night, Ethan kicked his father out. Mom didn't stop him. From that day on, Ethan became the man of the house and left with his father. Even the old cat went with them. In his final high school game, Ethan maintained his top form, leading the team to victory and earning a full 4-year scholarship. This meant Mom no longer had to worry about tuition. After the game, everyone went to a restaurant to celebrate. Alvar even brought fireworks to impress the girls. But at the crucial moment, the fireworks fizzled. Bailey was on lookout duty, making sure there was no danger nearby. Suddenly, Bailey picked up a familiar scent. Ethan's father had followed him without anyone knowing. He had been drinking heavily since the football field, and Bailey could tell. Ethan's father was very angry. Luckily, he only yelled a few things and did nothing more, but everything was seen by Alvar. He always looked for ways to embarrass Ethan, so Ethan's world wasn't so perfect after all. No wonder he wanted to go to Michigan to get away from his drunk father, right? Ethan couldn't hold back anymore and punched Alvar straight in the face. Once again, Alvar was humiliated in front of everyone. Bailey didn't like the smell on him either. It was like a rusty metal blade full of poison, a thing called jealousy and insecurity, but no one realized that this poisonous blade was also very fragile. Just a touch or the tiniest spark could cause it to explode, and no one would be spared. That night, Alvar threw a firework into the house. This time the firework didn't fizzle, and most houses in America are made of wood. In a dry summer, fire spreads easily. Bailey immediately turned and Ethan rushed into the house. When Ethan woke up, he had only closed his eyes for a moment. The fire below had already become uncontrollable. Ethan didn't run away alone. He immediately woke his mother up. By then, the fire was so large the neighbors had gathered outside. But before the fire truck arrived, no one could do anything. Alvar curled up in a corner, full of regret. Ethan made a quick decision. He and his mom tore bedsheets and tied them into a rope. It was an emergency, and Bailey stood beside them cheering nonstop. First, his mother was safely lowered down and caught by the crowd below. Then Ethan told Bailey to go down next, but the rope was too short. With one slip, Ethan lost his grip, and there wasn't enough time to make another rope himself. The fire had reached the roof. The house could collapse at any moment. Ethan's only choice now was to jump. Luckily, though the house was burned down, no one was seriously injured. Ethan was taken to the ambulance. Bailey broke free from the police and ran after it. Unexpectedly, he found Alvar hiding behind a tree. Alvar collapsed to the ground, relieved. Before even getting into college, he already had a stable job lined up. From now on, he'd be eating government meals every day, no matter what he did. It couldn't make up for the life Ethan was supposed to have. Bailey tried everything to play with Ethan, but Ethan just wanted to sleep. Once again, Bailey felt lonely, so he made a new friend, a creature that looked like a horse and a dog, and it was happy playing with Bailey. Only later did Bailey realize it was actually a donkey. Time passed again. Hannah came to visit Ethan. They were both about to start college. Hannah believed that no matter what happened, they could still follow their plan together, explore the world side by side, spend every summer together. But at that moment, Ethan hated the world. His future had crumbled. No college would accept a crippled football player, so Ethan didn't want to drag Hannah down with him. Ethan said goodbye to Hannah, without a moment's hesitation. Hannah gently petted Bailey one last time, then threw the football high into the air. Bailey searched for a long time but couldn't find the ball. Just like Hannah, she appeared briefly in their lives, then disappeared forever. Eventually, Ethan chose a distant agricultural university to get far away from this painful past. After that, Ethan said goodbye to Bailey, but Bailey didn't understand. He just felt sad watching Ethan grow farther away. Bailey couldn't help but chase after him. He thought Ethan was just playing a game. Bailey ran on all fours, like an arrow shooting through the golden sunlight. The ball swayed in his mouth. The marks on the ball held memories of the past. His paw prints on the ground felt like urgent messages, each step calling Ethan's name, and it seemed like Ethan could feel it too. Looking in the rearview mirror, he saw Bailey chasing him. Finally, Bailey jumped up and returned to Ethan's passenger seat, but Ethan just gently patted his head, and once again, pushed him out, then drove away. Humans are complicated. They always do things that dogs can't understand, like leaving each other. Ethan and I are supposed to be together. If there's no Ethan, then what's the point of living? Maybe the meaning of life is not to search for it. After Ethan left, Bailey stayed with Grandma and the family. Everything around seemed to slow down, becoming dull and boring, but Bailey didn't mind, because he didn't want to run or play anymore. Bailey always felt tired. He no longer snuck the jerky old folks gave him. He didn't want to play anymore either. He didn't even care about the donkey. Bailey's world seemed to come to a stop, but it also seemed to pass by so quickly. Sometime later, the whole family took Bailey to the vet. Bailey didn't understand why everyone was crying. In a daze, Bailey slowly closed his eyes. When Bailey woke up again, he saw Ethan standing right in front of him, just like the first time they met. After a sharp pain, Bailey woke up once more. In this life, Bailey had become a police dog. His new owner was very strict. Even playtime felt like training session. Bailey spent almost every day searching for items. When he found something, he'd bark loudly for his owner and the police. This was Bailey's mission in this life. It had nothing to do with Ethan, and nothing to do with happiness, because by doing good, Bailey and his owner were often praised. But no matter how well I did, my owner was never happy, because he was very lonely. I could smell someone used to live here, but the scent was faint. They probably left a long time ago. That's when I understood. Loneliness might be the worst thing you'll ever go through. I know what it's like to miss someone. Are you missing someone too? Bailey wanted to comfort his owner, but he wasn't like Ethan. He never let Bailey sleep on the bed. Bailey didn't understand why his owner pushed him away, because he could feel his owner needed him too, but he was still pushed away. Humans are really hard to understand. Very soon after, Bailey received a big mission. A little girl had been kidnapped. His owner let Bailey smell the clothes she wore the day before. Bailey immediately began searching through concrete buildings. With the support of trained police officers, they quickly found the girl near the dam, but the kidnapper had a gun. A tense standoff followed. Just as Bailey's leash was being unfastened, the girl suddenly broke free and ran, but unfortunately, she slipped and fell straight into the dam. It was a freezing winter. The water was icy cold. At any moment, she could cramp up and drown. Bailey didn't hesitate. He jumped into the water immediately. and quickly pulled the girl to shore. Reinforcements arrived in time to support Bailey, but on the other side, his owner wasn't so lucky. He had chased the kidnapper to the second floor of the dam. Suddenly, he felt a chill from behind. The kidnapper drew his gun and stepped closer. His owner was facing deadly danger. At the exact moment the kidnapper pulled the trigger, Bailey lunged forward and bit the kidnapper's arm. Luckily, Bailey arrived just in time. If not, his owner would have been in serious danger. The kidnapper was arrested, but Bailey was shot several times in the stomach. Though there wasn't much joy, Bailey knew he hadn't let his owner down. When Bailey regained consciousness, he realized he had become a small corgi. He was bought by Maya at a flea market. This time, his owner looked a lot like Ethan. She wrote and drew things every day. Maya studied at a prestigious university, but she wasn't happy at all, especially when she saw couples around her. Bailey could sense her emotion, so he immediately took action. Where's my tail? Where did my tail go? Bailey kept spinning in circles as he grew up. Maya took Bailey everywhere she went. Because Bailey was very well behaved, even when attending class, he never barked without reason. Maya always had a lot of snacks. It made Bailey almost forget what hunger felt like. One day, a boy came up and talked to Maya. He invited Maya to join a club, but before he could mention the place and time, Maya quickly declined. This left the boy confused. The truth was, Maya deeply longed to connect with others, but her prolonged loneliness had caused social anxiety. All the chances she had, she ruined with her own hands. Maya often marveled at Bailey's intelligence, as if he could understand her thought. The girl and the dog leaned on each other, spending one afternoon after another together, and soon after, from constant snacking and never going outside to exercise, Bailey began to gain weight. The vet advised Maya to take Bailey outside more. This gave Maya a headache, because not only was she introverted, but in this life, Bailey was too lazy to even fetch a ball. Suddenly, Bailey caught a scent of pheromone. It was the scent of a strong, large dog, a little like Bailey in one of his past lives. Bailey rushed over excitedly, but then realized the owner of that big dog was the same guy who had invited Maya before, Jason. Bailey smelled that familiar scent of sweat again. After that, Maya and Jason saw each other often. Not long after, they were sleeping side by side. Then Maya and Jason graduated and entered the workforce. At a restaurant they often visited, Jason took out a ring and proposed to Maya. In happy laughter, Jason and Maya had a smooth and joyful wedding. On a small sofa, their family of 4 sat together in perfect harmony. Bailey heard a strange sound coming from Maya's belly. Then, a baby suddenly appeared in the house. Bailey didn't understand why they needed a child, because he and Roxy already had everything they needed. They had each other. Then another baby came along. The whole family would often walk together through the maple woods. And then, Bailey began his great escape, because the kids would always chase him around to play. But every time, Bailey would get caught. So in the end, he just let the kids mess with him, because that way, Roxy would be safe. As time passed by, Bailey and Roxy's bond grew deeper over time. In Bailey's eyes, Roxy seemed unchanged, still as charming as ever, just like the first time they met. But one day, Roxy was taken to the vet, and from then on, never came back. This time, Bailey knew why. The family still treated me kindly, but with each passing day, I missed Roxy more. Without her, everything felt different. Perhaps this was Bailey's happiest life, also the most fulfilled life of any dog. With Maya's gentle caress, Bailey slowly closed his eyes. Everything felt like a cycle. Bailey woke up once again, but he didn't understand why. Repeating over and over, what was the point of it all? But this time was different. Bailey was taken in by a wandering girl, but her boyfriend didn't like Bailey, so Bailey was locked outside in the backyard. Day after day passed like that. Bailey didn't go anywhere, didn't get to play. The whole world seemed unrelated to him. All he heard were arguments between his owner and her boyfriend, and her quiet sobs in the stillness of night. Bailey's world was crying. Sometimes the police would come by. Bailey thought they were there to take him to find something, but that had been a long time ago. Until one day, Bailey's collar was finally removed. You'll find him a good owner, right? Someone responsible. I will. But her boyfriend lied. He drove from morning till night, just to make sure Bailey couldn't find his way back, then dragged Bailey out of the car. Bailey had been abandoned, so now I have to walk home by myself? This isn't fair at all. But thinking about it, I don't even want to go back to that house. Bailey wandered aimlessly. He had become a stray dog, watching other dogs play with their owners. Bailey felt a sting in his eyes. Suddenly, a husky ran toward Bailey. Bailey caught a familiar scent. He remembered it, but it was from so long ago. Guided by a blurry memory, or perhaps by fate itself, Bailey entered a golden wheat field. Another harvest season had come. He felt like he had been here before. The breeze carried fresh, mixed scent, and then Bailey caught a scent he could never forget. It was that donkey. Bailey couldn't help but run toward it. The image of the farm became clearer and clearer, and the donkey was really still there, just much bigger than he remembered. What about Ethan? Was he here too? Ethan? Time had taken Ethan's youth, changed his voice, but his scent was eternal. While humans search bloodlines through DNA, and identify each other with AI. Dogs understand a much deeper truth. The body is just a container of molecules. Scent is the barcode of the soul. This is the most primitive language. I recognize you. But Ethan couldn't recognize Bailey. He thought it was just a hungry stray dog. Ethan didn't even let him inside until the sun began to set, and the world turned a melancholy blue. Looking at the little creature before him, Ethan softened. So the next day, he took Bailey to the vet, hoping someone kind would adopt him. When he was little, Ethan felt Grandma's house was huge. Now it felt cold and empty, because now, Ethan was all alone. Loneliness. Perhaps it's the worst thing a person can go through. Suddenly, Ethan seemed to remember something. The next morning, Bailey saw a familiar figure. Do you want to get out of here? You want to go, huh? Come on, let's go. I get to sit in the front seat again. Alright, buddy, from now on, we'll be together. And the donkey too. What's a donkey? Ethan gave Bailey a proper bath, then put a new collar on him. On it was a brand new name. Ethan hadn't changed. He still let dogs sleep on the bed, but Bailey could sense Ethan still wasn't happy. He wanted to help Ethan, but didn't know how. Suddenly, Bailey had an idea. Bailey secretly snuck out of the house. Guided by memory, he returned to that part, and the husky was still there. Bailey followed the husky and its owner home. Bailey had made the right bet, because the familiar scent grew stronger and stronger. It was Hannah. She looked different, but still smelled like cookies. Hannah curiously looked at Bailey's name tag. His name is Buddy. Let's see who owns him. And the name tied to her youth reappeared. It was an ordinary afternoon, a bit like the day they parted ways. How much time has passed? No one really remembers. But that silhouette, Ethan would never forget. Ethan recognized Hannah instantly, even just from behind. There was a knock on the door, but no one answered. Bailey anxiously called out to Ethan. Finally, Ethan opened the door. Those eyes were just like before, always engraved in Ethan's heart. Hey, Ethan. Hi, Hannah. I came to return your dog. Bailey was so happy, because he smelled that familiar scent of sweat again. Turns out, to escape her memory, Hannah had gotten married and moved away. But ironically, after her husband passed, her daughter got married nearby. Now, Hannah would be living here long-term with her daughter. As for Ethan, since that day, he had lived alone. He hadn't even owned another dog. Watching Hannah walk away, Ethan knew he couldn't let this chance pass again. Hey, Hannah, I owe you an apology for everything that happened back then. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. It was so long ago. No, I was the one who pushed you away. Back then, I hated the whole world. Now all I want to say is that for all these years, not a single day has gone by that I haven't regretted it. If I said I still want to see you in the future, would you think I'm crazy? Are you asking me out? Well, if I just stand here and let you walk away now, then I'd really be a fool. Step aside. Don't bother them. Before long, Ethan's front yard was filled with people. The two of them couldn't wait to get married, and Bailey knew that very well, because once those two start kissing, no one can stop them. Ethan had always dreamed of a big family. Now, that dream had finally come true. The woman he loved had come back to him. Life is full of surprises, but Bailey still had one wish left. He wanted Ethan to know it was really him who came back, so he spun in circles biting his tail in front of Ethan. Hannah was amazed at how much he resembled Bailey, but Ethan just thought all dogs were the same. Bailey didn't know how else to prove it. Seeing the old barn door, Bailey had an idea. That football, it still carried his scent. So when Ethan turned around, he saw his old friend. Bailey eagerly urged Ethan to play ball with him, but Ethan was old now. After a short while, he stopped, too tired to go on, but Bailey kept nudging him, as if trying to say something. Suddenly, Ethan seemed to remember something. He threw the football high into the air, and then, the next moment, this new dog looked exactly like Bailey. He did a special move that only the two of them knew. Where did you learn that trick, boy? You're scaring me, dog boss. That's right, Ethan. It's me. I'm dog boss. I'm Bailey. Say it, dog boss. You're dog boss? Yes, it's me, Ethan. It's really me, Bailey. At last, after everything, Ethan recognized Bailey. The movie ends with a fulfilling conclusion. Bailey had lived many lives, had many owners, but no matter who they were, they couldn't escape loneliness, like a wound carved into the soul. Perhaps ever since apes stood upright, evolving forelimbs into hands that could make tools, we've been destined to bear the spiritual misfortunes of bipeds. Language separated us from full emotional experience, turning all heartfelt words into echoes after the fact. Social contracts made us wear personality masks, locking our true selves in a mental vault. Evolution made modern humans into cave dwellers in designer suits, in caves filled with Wi-Fi. We chew on loneliness harder to digest than mammoth meat. Just like existentialists once described being thrown into life at 3 a.m. in sleepless night, it hums like the sound of a fridge. Humans traded walking upright for intelligence, but lost the instinct to fight lonely, while dogs, with their sturdy four legs, silently guard the fragments of soul we've lost on our path of evolution. Dogs have never been human possession. They are the forgotten prophecy of two-legged creatures. While we define dogs by their collars, they quietly train us in their own way. They teach us to remember the scent of rain amidst a concrete city, helping eyes drowned in data recognize the shape of the wind. Perhaps in a parallel universe, dogs are the real philosophers. and we are merely creatures, in need of their healing. Like Bailey through 4 lifetimes, what he taught humans wasn't loyalty, but how to keep in their heart a puppy always ready to leap into happiness. After living many lives as a dog, I finally understood. First, be truly joyful, and whenever possible, help those you love with all your heart, the people who matter to you. Don't keep frowning over the past. Don't worry too much about the future. Just live fully in the present. Live happily in this very moment. That is the true purpose of a dog.